What's up, my guys, and welcome back. I'm your host, Cody. Now, if you heard that intro, that only means one thing. Yes, you about to be stuck watching a terrible YouTube video. Sorry about you, brother, but hey, it is what it is. Now, what we do on this show, the Wrestling Report Card, is I take a wrestler show. I break down each match. I give it a letter grade, and at the end, I tally them son bitches up to give that show its own report card. So tonight, we're talking the March 22nd edition of AEW DYNAMITE. And I tell you what, in the opening match, you had 64-year-old icon Sting. That's right, Sting was in action. You also had Jon Moxley in action. You had the tag team championships on the line. And in the main event, you had possibly the best match I have seen in a long time when you had Kitty by God Omega going up against the AAA champion El Hijo de Vikingo. Lo siento if I messed that up a little bit. Yo habla un poquito español. So as you can tell, we got a lot to talk about. Without further ado, go and buckle up your seatbelts, and let's get to grading, my guy. Now, we start the show off out in the parking lot where we have an irate Kenny Omega, and the next thing you see is both the Young Bucks getting loaded up in a couple of ambulances, and they're getting shipped off after they've been attacked. And I wonder who done did it, but more on that later, because next up, we got Sting. That's right, Sting is in trios action. He's teaming up with both Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy, and they're taking on Kip Sabian, the Butcher, and the Blade. And again, the fact that Sting is almost 65 and can still do what he does, that should be illegal. Well, after a wild match, Sting was finally able to hit the Scorpion Death Drop, and ain't nobody kicking out of that, my guy. Sting picked up the 1, 2, 3 for his team, and I tell you what, that was a great way to start off the show. I'ma slap a B+ on that sumbitch. Then we're gonna move over to the tag team division, as you got the tag team titles on the line. You got the Ass Boys defending against them Martin Boys. That's right, I'm talking about Top Flight. And what did you expect? Anytime Top Flight is in a match, you just know some wild shit is gonna go down. I tell you what, that Dante Martin can flat out fly. He be in the air so much, get that man some frequent flyer miles, damn it. However, at the end of the day, he allowed himself to get distracted by the Kingdom, who ran down, and as soon as he turned back around, he turned straight into the 310 to Yuma, and I hate to say it, ain't nobody kicking out of that, my guy. The Guns pick up the 1, 2, 3, and once again, for the second time, they defend their tag team titles in a decent little match. And I'm gonna slap a B on that sumbitch, but once again, no time to celebrate for the Ass Boys, because as soon as the match ended, out came FTR, and after some negotiating by Dax Harwood, they were able to finally get the rematch set up against the Ass Boys. But if FTR loses this time, hey, they're out of AEW for good. I mean, I thought they just got their contracts re-signed, but hey, we ain't got to know all that. I love when they do stuff like this, and I'm going to keep it moving because up next, we got Stokely Hathaway going up against Hook in a non-disqualification match. But before the match even started, Stokely Hathaway got on the mic and then announced his retirement from wrestling, and said he even had a doctor's note to excuse him from, I think, Dr. Simpson. Is it Dr. Sampson? Anyways, he hands that over to the announcer, Justin Roberts, says, make it official. So Justin Roberts opens it and says, man, this is just a receipt from Wingstop. Get the match started. Ring the damn bell. So they did, and yeah, this match was awesome. Stokely had thought he won it when he used that damn fire hydrant, but Stokes took a little bit too long, got a little bit too cocky, which resulted in him getting cracked by a steel chair over and over again, suplexed into a barricade. Then, when Hook went and made the cover, he pulled him up at the last second, turned that sumbitch sideways, then applied his red rum submission, and ain't nobody getting out of that, my guy. Hook picks up the victory, and I'ma slap a B on that sumbitch. It looks like we're gonna end up getting Ethan Page taking on Hook after he's done wiped out the rest of the firm, and I am here for that, my guy. Now we gotta move on, because just 1 week from his long-awaited in-ring return, Adam Cole comes down to the ring, gets on the mic, said, hey, I done worked my ass off to get here, got everything figured out, but who is going to be my opponent next week? And, well, y'all know how pro wrestling works. Daniel Garcia's music hit, down he came, and okay. Like, at first, I was not really excited for this, but Garcia cut a little pretty good promo right there, even though he slipped up and almost called himself a pro wrestler. But long story short, these two set up for their match next week on Dynamite. So for that right there, I'm going to slap a B- on that sumbitch, and we're going to jump back into the action, because next up, you got Jon Moxley taking on Grayson. Now, y'all all know Jon Moxley is my guy, but I think it's time we start seeing Claudio a little bit more in these matches now. Nothing against Mox, but I think he could use a little bit of a break. I mean, the guy has helped carry this company week in and week out since he arrived over 3 years ago, and part of that was through a freaking pandemic. Now, even with that being said, that Jon Moxley is tougher than a $2 steak, I tell you what. Mox wound up hitting the Avalanche Death Rider DDT, and ain't nobody kicking out of that, my guy. Moxley picked up the 1-2-3, and I'll be damned, Jonathan Moxley made it through an entire match without bleeding. I mean, he probably is backstage like gargling razors or something, but I gotta give it to him, okay? Now, for that match right there, I'ma slap a C+ on that son bitch. Moxley is doing something backstage, but we'll get to that later, because up next, we had another entertaining episode of QTV, and I'm just gonna say it, I don't get the QT Marshall hate at all. My guy is constantly putting people over, but I'll get off my soapbox. We gotta go over to some women's action. Up next, we got Skye Blue taking on Toni Storm, and you already know Toni Storm didn't come down to the ring alone, as both Saraya and Ruby Soho accompanied her, and it didn't take long for them to make themselves known ringside. Blue tried staying in it, but ultimately the numbers caught up to her, allowing Storm to take advantage, hit her with the Storm Zero, and ain't nobody kicking out of that, my guy. She picked up the 1-2-3. After the match, the Outcasts had bad plans in mind, but thankfully down ran Willow and Riho, who had a lead pipe about as tall as she was. Shout out to my guy Josh Town for that one. And they ran down, saved the day. So for that match right there, I'ma slap a C- on that son bitch. But y'all know what it is. That's enough of the talk, because it's time for the main event. We got Kenny by God Omega returning to Siegel's action, and he's taking on the AAA Mega Champion El Hijo de Vikingo. And I'm not even gonna lie, I've heard of the young legend before tonight, but I have never seen Vikingo live. And holy shit, this guy had me up out of my chair quicker than Grandpa Joe and Willy Wonka. I tell you what, I was up and down more than a mass congregation on Easter Sunday. Amen, brother. Now, I'm not even gonna try to do this match justice. If you do have 20 spare minutes, just go watch this. These two defied logic, gravity. Hell, I'd even believe the earth was flat after watching that match. Again, I did not know who Vikingo before tonight, but I am a fan now, damn it. This fool really went and hit a 630 splash from the ring out onto the floor, crashing Kenny Omega through a table, and that wasn't even the ending. Vikingo went for a second 630, this time in the ring, but there was nobody home. Omega then got up, landed his 39th V-trigger of the night, which allowed him to load that sumbitch up. He hit the one-winged angel, and ain't nobody kicking out of that, my guy. Kenny Omega gets the 1-2-3, but after the match, out came the Blackpool Combat Club. They start attacking Kenny Omega. It turns out they were the culprits behind the Young Bucks attack. We also saw them attack Stu Grayson backstage. Next thing you know, sirens start blaring throughout the entire arena. Then up on the big screen, you see that ambulance pulling back up, and by God, out come Hangman Page. He hopped out that sumbitch, marched all the way down to the ring, 2x4 in hand, and then ended up clearing out Moxley and them. But then, right before Omega came to, that slimeball Don Callis just dropped down to the ring and had it looking like Hangman had just struck him. I mean, what is this guy getting at? You know Kenny Omega has literally already seen that video by now. He's an EVP. Shout out to my guy Josh Town. I know we was thinking on the same page there, but seriously, I'm not even mad though, because that match was a banger. I'm slapping an A+ on that sumbitch. You can go argue with your uncle and them. I don't care. Y'all do know what time of the show it is. We got all the grades in. Now let's take out the report card, my guy. After tallying everything up, we came out with a final letter grade of a B. That's right, in 84%. That's what I'm talking about. Well, hey, first off, I want to give a shout out to OG Bobby Knifehawk for the beat. Y'all go check him out on SoundCloud. Also, appreciate all 12 of y'all still tuned in. If you haven't already, you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That'd be cool. You can like the video. You can comment how dumb I am or how stupid this boy looks. But hey, I'm your host, Cody. I'm signing off. I hope all y'all stay safe and have a nice day.